Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. If you're wondering about what's going on with the background, I'm once again out of town. I know I've been out of town a lot recently, but yeah, there is still, of course, content to be made. I'm actually hanging out with a couple other content creators for about a week at this point, and I'm actually at Rusty Buckets, aka Jacob's house at the moment, so I'm over here in one of his side rooms because, of course, I still need to find a way to talk about hoops with y'all here on this channel. And today, we're going to go ahead and talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and of course, I've made like 50 Shai videos at this point. I've reacted to when he hits game winners. I've made videos talking about why he's becoming a superstar in the league. Years ago, I was like, this is why he's going to be a franchise player. And now he's kind of evolving into that mold. Shai is having the best season of his career. And while I think a lot of people do talk about how great Shai has been, although I do think he deserves even more credit, going from not being an all-star prior to this season to now being a borderline all-star starter while averaging over 30 points per game and leading the Thunder to already surpassing their win record from last season, despite Chet Holmgren not playing the entire year. I think he deserves a lot more love for that, but I will say a lot of people have acknowledged how good he is. But one thing that I don't think people talk about enough is just how unique he is. In fact, Shai, in my opinion, is truly a unicorn at the guard position. Typically, when we talk about unicorns in the NBA, we think of like the Joel Embiids, the Nikola Jokic's, or like a Victor Wembanyama in this upcoming draft. These bigs that can shoot threes, handle the ball, play make, and do basically everything, things that you would never expect for guys their size. But I think we should also talk about unicorns at the guard position, players that just don't play like basically anybody else. And I think Shai perfectly fits that mold. Once again, he's already averaging 30 points per game this early into his career, and he's doing it in a very unique way that basically isn't being replicated right now. Of course, Shai's primary method of scoring is to attack the basket. He's one of the best finishers and drivers to the rim out of anybody in the league. And if you don't believe me, he once again is leading the league in drives per game this season, averaging 24.1, and that's 3 more attempts per game than John Morant, who's sitting there in second place. So he's got him beat by a considerable margin. And he's also scoring 69.1% of his points from drives to the basket, whether that means driving to the rim and finishing, which he is one of the best in the league at doing so. He uses a unique combination of physicality and finesse to continuously put the ball in the basket when he gets close to the rim. He, of course, has that scoop layup that he consistently goes to, and he can do that with either hand. He's basically ambidextrous when it comes to finishing. He can also power through guys. He's gotten a lot stronger, and part of that is something he worked on in the offseason to take contact better, bounce off of guys, finish and ones. He's been dunking, it feels like, a lot more on guys than in previous seasons, and it seems like he's really made it a point to continuously go straight into defenders, and whether he just draws contact to get a foul or actually finishes the shot, either way he's going to put points on the board. Like I said, Shai is elite at drawing contact from the defender. He gets fouled at a very high rate. In fact, he averages the 4th most free throw attempts in the league and also shoots the 7th highest free throw percentage. He shoots over 90% from the line. So he's consistently getting to the line, drawing contact due to that high number of drives, but he's also great at pump faking in the mid-range, getting the defender in the air and jumping into them, getting contact as he gets bumped on a drive too, just using his length to get his arms into a spot where the defender is going to hit them. And I know a lot of people like to talk about foul baiting and everything, but I do think Shai gets fouled legitimately basically every single time. He gets knocked off his spot a lot, and like I said, he does lead the league in drives, so it makes sense that he'd be one of the top free throw shooters in the NBA as a whole. And overall, it just is important as an elite scorer to get to the line consistently. All of the greats do it, and Shai is realizing that as he continues to get better at doing so. But like I said earlier, you probably already knew that Shai was elite at driving to the basket, drawing contact, and finishing through it at most times. However, you might not know the other things that he's changed this season that have made him one of the best scorers in the league. And there are 2 things in particular that have really taken his game to a new level. The first thing is that Shai is taking a lot less threes than he has in prior seasons of his career. Last season, he actually shot 5.3 threes a game, which is the most that he had ever taken. In the year before, he took 5, which at that point was also the most he had ever taken in his career. This season, he's down to just 2.7 three-point attempts per game, basically slicing in half his number from last year. And last year, he did struggle to shoot from 3. He shot just 30% from deep after shooting 34% or better every other season and 42% just the year before. Now, part of this was because he was carrying a massive offensive load. He also switched up his jumper a little bit to try and get it something a bit more consistent, something that was a little bit more hard to contest. And you could see he was a bit uncomfortable with it early on in the season where he really struggled. But as the year went on, and in particular after the All-Star break, you could see him get pretty comfortable, and it seemed like, I mean, he was averaging around 30 points per game after the All-Star break last season. So you could see a bit of what was coming this year in what happened at the end of last. He's also being a bit more selective, taking a few less sidestep or step back threes, although he does go to one of those for a game winner every now and again. He's taking some catch and shoot threes, more wide open ones in general, and it's helped his 3-point percentage rise back up to about 35%. But still, it's super weird when you think about a player becoming better and better in scoring, but shooting less threes in the NBA right now, especially as a guard, where 3-point shooting is more important than ever. In fact, if we take a look at the top 7 scorers in the league, who are all the guys that are averaging 30 or more points per game. Shai shoots the least threes out of any of those guys. And this is a list that includes Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo, two of the most dominant bigs in the league right now, and two of the most dominant bigs we've really ever seen. He shoots less threes than those guys. To make things even crazier, amongst all the guards in the top 80 scorers in the league, Shai is shooting the least number of threes. And this goes all the way down to players that are averaging like 15 points per game. They're still shooting more threes than Shai, yet he's averaging over 30 points per game on great efficiency. Being able to excel as a scoring guard despite not shooting a lot of deep balls in the modern NBA is almost unheard of. We never see it. I mean, there are some guards that don't really shoot that many threes, but in terms of like a lead guard averaging over 30 points per game, it's basically a requirement to shoot like at least like 5 threes a game to be this effective. But for Shai, he doesn't need to. He truly is the exception in that regard. And part of this is, like I said, of course, his ability to attack downhill, but he's also become a prolific scorer inside the arc. Now, Shai has always been a solid jump shooter from inside the three-point line, but he's brought it to a whole new level this season. In fact, he's taking over 60% of his shot attempts between 3 feet away from the basket and the three-point line. And looks that he continuously goes to are like turnaround mid-range jumpers. He also goes like kind of into the paint, chisels out a bit of space for a little bit, a couple turns, a couple jab steps, and then just shoots right over the guy. But also in particular, he goes to a lot of pull-up jumpers, which he's basically lethal at. On pull-up jumpers this season, Shai is shooting 47%, which is the third best in the NBA amongst the top 10 scorers on these types of looks. The only guys that he's behind are DeMar DeRozan, who's one of the best mid-range shooters of all time, and Kevin Durant, who is one of the best scorers single-handedly of all time. And this ability to knock down mid-range jumpers at a high clip leverages perfectly with his other skills. You have to sag off him a bit, because if you don't and play right up on him, Shai is going to drive right past you and finish at the rim, or he's going to draw contact in some way. So you have to be careful, so you have to play a little bit off. But if you do, Shai is just going to shoot a pull-up mid-range jumper over you. He's going to back you down the post and shoot a turnaround mid-range jumper, and he's going to sink it basically time and time again. There's really no way to stop Shai, and in fact, being so lethal from the mid-range also causes guys to play off a little bit from him on the three-point line, which has also helped his three-point game expand and get back to being about 35%. This season, it really feels like Shai has discovered how to be the most effective that he can as a scorer, and it gives the league nightmares. There is nothing they can do to stop him. Once again, he can drive right past you to the basket and finish at a high level. He can shoot mid-range jumpers with the best of them, and his three-point ball is once again back up to league average, and I think it'll only get better and better as we get more shooters around him. And in fact, Shai really doesn't even have a high-level screener on the roster. A lot of the other great scoring guards in the league have guys that can set these big body screens, like a Steph Curry with Draymond, or Ja Morant with a Steven Adams. And when Shai gets a guy like that next to him, it's wraps for whoever is defending him across the league, because he can just curl around a big screen, shoot a mid-range right over whoever tries to help. He can shoot threes at a decent clip as well, and he can also attack down the basket with high-level speed. He can also hit the roll man because he's a high-level playmaker. There's like nothing you can do to stop Shai, so this is only the beginning for him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he averaged nearly 30 points per game at some point in his career. So basically, Shai is really good at basketball, and he does it in such a unique way, one that we very rarely see in the league right now. In fact, we don't see it in the league, period. He shoots mid-range jumpers, he attacks the basket, and doesn't really rely on the three ball in an era where it's more important than ever. And that's part of the reason why I think he's one of the most fun players to watch in the NBA right now. I think also part of that is just the fact that I'm a Thunder fan, but I do think that if you're not watching the Thunder or Shai in particular, you're really missing out on some of the most unique scoring that we see in the league today. I've seen a lot of people complain that all the games are the same, or everybody basically has the same type of repertoire. Not Shai. He's very different, and he's truly a unicorn at the guard position, something that I don't think we use enough as a term, but Shai is like the definition of it. With all that being said, I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. Like I said earlier, I'm at Rusty Buckets' house right now, and actually earlier we hooped and we played a 1v1 against each other. Rusty posted a clip of that on Twitter, so if you want to go ahead and check that out, you can, if you want to see a bit of a sneak preview. But like I said, I have the entire 1v1 recorded, so if you want to see that on the channel, please let me know in the comment section below so I can go ahead and get that to y'all as soon as possible. Also, I'm recording this before the Thunder-Lakers video has happened, so LeBron hasn't broken the scoring record yet. Maybe he will break it tonight, but regardless, I just wanted to record this video about Shai because, you know me, I had to get a Shai video out. It's been like a week or so, so it's been too long. With all that being said, I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Everyone say it back.